So good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and I welcome you all in this live session by Drishti IAS. We will be discussing Indian Express of the day and we'll go through some important articles which can be important from your prelims as well as mains point of view. Okay. Now when we are taking a look at today's front page, here you will see that most of the news here covered were political in nature, and that is obvious because recently you know that election has been announced and now election time is coming near, so these news will be on the front page. Okay, but the thing is there are certain news articles which are given inside the newspaper which we will be discussing today, that is lost monuments of India. So there are certain monuments which Archaeological Survey of India is saying that they will be delisting these monuments because they have been lost, their location is not been traced. Okay, so we will be talking about that. Then India employment report. So this report of 2024 has been made in public domain, so we will be talking about that report. There is nothing new to talk about in this report because already this data has been in the public. We know that there is issue of unemployment, all these things we will be again having a look at. Okay, then Krishi ICCC. This particular dashboard, you can say, or you can say it is a platform which will be helping farmers. Okay, so we will be talking about this particular platform and how it will help farmers. Okay, then around the world we will see one or two news and then practice question will be given for your own practice at home. Okay, now we will start with the explanation of the question which was given to you in the last lecture. Okay, so let's see. Here the question was, which of the following is the primary function of the Cas9 enzyme in CRISPR-Cas9 system? Okay, so when we are talking about this particular system of CRISPR-Cas9, yesterday we have talked about certain things which was related to your xenotransplants. Okay, this term would be important for your prelims because there have been these trends wherein in prelims they have continuously been asking about the terms which are related to your biotechnology. Okay, so this term can be there. Okay, other than that there are certain enzymes or you can say certain developments like biohacking. Okay, when we are talking about this particular CRISPR-Cas9 in gene editing it is used. So all these things I guess you should be remembering all these things because that can be important. Now coming to the question, they are saying that Cas9 enzyme plays what kind of role in CRISPR-Cas9 system. So in the start of yesterday lecture I told you that Cas9 is a molecular scissor. Okay, molecular scissor. Okay, so basically scissor means that it will cut something down. Okay, so molecular scissor means it somehow will cut a system of gene or you can say a part of a gene that is to be replaced with the system of CRISPR-Cas9. Okay, now coming to the options, recognizing the PAM sequence. Now they are saying that recognizing, here word plays very important. They are asking about recognizing. No, that is not the work of Cas9. Cas9 is just an enzyme which will go there and cut the gene or you can say a sequence of the genome. Okay, so basically that is not recognizing. Then cleaving the target DNA. So basically they are saying the cleaving or cutting, removing, separating, such word can be our answer. Let's see. Next option is incorporating foreign DNA into the host genome. Okay, so now they are saying that incorporating or adding the foreign DNA to the host genome, that is not the work of Cas9, though this system altogether, if we think look at it, what they does is they cut a particular sequence and then replace it with a modified sequence. Okay, so that can be the answer of CRISPR-Cas9 altogether a system, but not just the Cas9 enzyme. Then repairing the damages of the DNA, so that is also incorrect. Now option B would be a right answer because it is a molecular scissor and cleaving can be a part of scissor. Okay, so B would be your answer. Even if you don't have any idea, just know that there in this particular therapy we know that there is one enzyme which helps cutting the target DNA or you can say gene sequencing of that particular DNA. So you can say that the option B would be your right answer. Now coming to the first article of the day, that is related to your Archaeological Survey of India's, they will be delisting. Okay, so ASI will delist some lost monuments. They are already saying that there are certain lost monuments. We will see why these monuments are basically lost, what's happening and why. So recently ASI has said that they will be delisting nearly 18 centrally protected monuments. Okay, why? Because they are not able to trace their location. These monuments were there in the protected list or the protection list which has been prepared by ASI for the center, but now in 2012 around there was this CAG's report. That report said that there are nearly 92 such monuments which are lost. Okay, but then when such report came and there was this bell which was rang by CAG, what happens? The ASI started searching for these monuments and they found some of them. Okay, then afterwards there were nearly 50 monuments which were lost. So they found nearly, you can say, 42 monuments. Okay, after that, recently in 2022 also there was this parliamentary committee which has also talked about similar things, and they have said that some monuments are actually lost. Now ASI has recognized and acknowledged that there are 18 monuments whose location they cannot trace, and that is why they are delisting it from that particular list. Okay, so let's see. The Archaeological Survey of India has decided to delist 18 centrally protected monuments that it has assessed are not of national importance, because they are untraceable. So how can they attach any kind of national importance? Because now the thing is, there are certain monuments name which I will tell you. You don't have to remember all these names. If you remember one or two, it's fine. Okay, but why these monuments are going untraceable? So what happens is, when in 1861 ASI was founded. Okay, Archaeological Survey of India was founded by Britishers in 1861. Okay, but then they have worked accordingly as per British rule and all. In 1920s and 1920s to 1950s, they started making a list of these monuments and they started to go for the protection of these heritages. Okay, and this was the time when they have started making this list, and afterwards, after independence, we did not have much resources, we did not have much finance budgets, etc. So more focus was given to education, health, industry, agriculture, etc. and merely some amount of budget was given for the protection of such monuments. Now afterwards, the interest of ASI in protecting this was obviously because there is no fund. So that was one thing. In protecting the monuments, that interest was declining, but the you can say inclination of ASI was towards recovering or discovering new monuments. Okay, because once these monuments are discovered, there will be a credit which will be given to ASI or the person who has discovered those monuments. So that is why the interest of ASI was more in the lines of discovering the new monuments and not protecting. Okay, but afterwards what happens, because of the unauthorized urbanization or because of the deregulations, and since these monuments were in the remote areas, so all these monuments actually started disappearing, or you can say that therein people started to go and build settlements. Okay, so that is why these monuments are now untraceable, because while going for the settlements or the urbanization, people must have removed them or broke them. Okay, so that is why these are untraceable now. So now these include the medieval highway milestone recorded as a coast minar. Coast minar are basically, that right now we have this parameter wherein we say that it is 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. So for the distance we are using kilometers. Okay, and or you can say miles. But earlier in the Mughal time, or you can say in the medieval time, we used to have this unit, that is coast. Okay, so for every coast there was this minar, or you can say on the highways there were some minars. Okay, so these minars were called coast minars to make sure, or you can say to give some indication of distance. So such coast minar number 13 at Mujessar village in Haryana, Barakhamba cemetery in Delhi, Guner Barkil tomb in Jhansi district, a cemetery at Gau Ghat in Lucknow, Telianala Buddhist ruins in Varanasi, all these locations are basically now disappeared, or you can say they are untraceable. The precise location of these monuments or the current physical state is unknown, and that is why ASI is saying that we are going to delist them. Okay. Now what does delisting means? When we are talking about the listing, what happens is that these monuments will be protected. Okay. Now when these monuments are protected, you will not be able to go for any kind of construction in the nearby site. So if there is a monument which is listed in the you can say protected area list, then you will not be able to go for any construction activity over there. when you are going for the delisting of that monument, if that is present somewhere, then also there is no guarantee of protection of that monument. People can go for the construction. So that would mean delisting. Okay, that will have the impact of delisting, that you can go for the construction in that area. Okay. Now see, the ASI, which works under the Union Ministry of Culture. Now this fact is important because there has been tendency wherein UPSC has asked about such institution and their ministry attached. Okay, and I would like to tell you that in the last 6 to 7 months, I have seen that nearly 20 to 30 articles which are related to Archaeological Survey of India, which has been placed in the Indian Express newspaper. So I would say that please keep a tab on ASI. It was founded in 1861 and it is under the Ministry of Culture. Okay. So ASI in the Ministry of Culture is responsible for the protecting and maintaining certain monuments and archaeological sites that have been declared of national importance under the Ancient Monument Preservation Act 1904 and Ancient Monument and the Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958. Okay, so these are two acts. I would want you to remember these two acts as well. Act of 1904, that is Ancient Monument Preservation Act, and Act of 1958, that is Ancient Monuments and the Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958. Okay. Now delisting a monument will effectively means that it will no longer be conserved and protected by ASI under AMSR Act, that is of 1958. Any kind of construction related activity is not allowed under the or around the protected sites. Okay. So once this site is been delisted, you can go for the construction as well. Okay. So there will be no protection whatsoever. If we are talking about the recent number of sites, there are nearly 3,693 sites which are protected. After this particular decision, we will be removing 18 sites, so there will be 3,675 sites. Okay, so this is the number right now. You don't have to remember this number, just know that there are more than 3,600 sites which are, you can say, protected in India. Okay, so this is the first such large delisting exercise. Okay, earlier there have been delisting exercises, but at the large extent like this is the first time. Okay, now the gazette notification of the 18 monuments in the question was issued on March 8, and there have been given a window of 2 months wherein you can go and pose any kind of objection if you have. Okay, so if there is a monument or if you know the location of this particular monument, you can go and file an objection that we know the monument is there and it is not untraceable, so that it cannot be delisted. Okay, now what does it mean for a monument to be untraceable? So as I told you, because of the various activities or let's say urbanization, or when we are talking about the submerging of such monuments by under the reservoirs, etc. So these are certain you can say reasons which can be traced to this particular untraceability. Okay, now AMSAR Act protects monuments and the sites that are more than 100 years old, including temples, cemeteries, inscriptions, tomb, fort, palaces, stepwell, rock cut caves, and even objects like cannons and mine pillars or these coast minars. Okay, that may be historically significance. They may have historical significance, which is obvious. Some has been lost to activities such as urbanization, encroachments, and construction of dam and reservoirs, or sheer neglect. Okay, so these are certain reasons because of which we can say that these monuments has gone untraceable. Under the AMASR Act, ASI should regularly inspect. So the thing is, this particular act says that ASI should regularly visit these monuments and then inspect these monuments, but that was not happening, as I told you. Because of the inclination of ASI towards going for the newer sites, this was actually neglected. So what ASI can do is, when ASI found some kind of encroachment, they can give you a show cause notice or they can file a police complaint about it. Okay, and they can recover the land again. Then it has not happened with the uniform effectiveness. ASI was founded in 1861. Government spends its meager resources more on health, education, infrastructure, and protecting the heritage was least of the you can say at that point of time it was not the priority. Okay, obviously we did not have that kind of resources. Now how many historical monuments have been lost in this way? So in 2022 December, there was this committee whose reports says that 50 of India's 3,693 centrally protected monuments are missing. 14 of these has been lost to the rapid urbanization. So we know that there are 14 monuments which has been lost to the urbanization, 12 were submerged by the reservoirs or the dams, and remaining 24 are untraceable. So out of these 24, now we are going for the 18 monuments which are we are going for the delisting of such monuments. Okay. Other than that, also if we see this CAG report which I have already talked about, this CAG report says that there were 92 centrally protected monuments which were actually untraceable, but then or gone missing, but then they have actually ASI has gone for the hunt, and they found that there are only 50 of them which are missing. They found the 42 of the remaining. Okay. So this is about this particular article. I'm not saying that they will ask you how many of the sites are actually delisted or what, but they can ask you, does ASI have such power? Okay. So yes, ASI has such power. They have power to list a particular monument, and they have power to unlist a particular monument. There are two acts which they can ask you about, or they can ask about the foundation year, and then ministry which is attached to ASI. Okay. So this is about this article. I hope this is clear and you can. Okay, now moving further. India's employment condition continues to be poor, report says. Okay, so there is this report, that is India Employment Report 2024, which has been published by Institution of Human Development plus International Labour Organization. Okay, so this you can remember. Generally they don't ask for these unpopular organizations, but I would suggest that if it is in the news, just keep a note of that. You don't have to go into the data of this particular thing, just know the trend. Okay, because these data are quite complicated. Here they have said that in 2022 the share of unemployed youth in the total unemployed population was 82.9%. So they are saying that the share of people who are young, okay, or you can say there are total, if 100%, 100 people are unemployed, so 82 or 83% are youth among them. Okay. Similarly, there was another data which is saying that among these youth, most of the people are educated. Okay. And when we are talking about these unemployed people, the percentage of women or educated women is higher, that is nearly 75%. Okay. So these are certain things, but I would not go into this data, I would go into the trends. Okay. So let's see. One more thing, they have discussed certain things like Atmanirbhar Bharat, Rozgar Yojana. So these schemes, I would say that keep a note of that and make at least 2 or 3 lines of note regarding that. Even as overall labor force participation, workforce participation and the employment rates improved in India in the recent year, after showing long-term deterioration in 2000 to 2019, the employment condition remains poor. What they are trying to say is that there is the number, labor force participation report was there, which report says that the unemployment in India is decreasing. Okay. One thing. Second thing, they are saying that women participation is increasing, labor force participation is increasing. So this is what labor force participation report has said way back. But the thing is, the quality of employment, okay, or the quality of employment which is been given is not of or is not up to mark. Okay. So if we are saying the people who are unemployed, we will see that most of them are educated people. Okay. So that is why here in this report they have said that employment conditions are still poor. Okay. India Employment Report 2024 released by the Institution for Human Development, that is IHD, and International Labour Organization ILO. The report says that slow transition to non-farm employment has reversed. So earlier what was happening, we have seen that people were transitioning from farm to non-farm, okay, but that has been reversed recently. After COVID, most of the people went back to their villages, okay, so that can be one factor. I'm not saying that is the only factor, that can be a one factor, okay. Women largely account for the increase in the self-employment and the unpaid family works, okay. We know that when we are talking about the women, most of the women are there in the family work, or you can say when we are talking about the agriculture or unorganized sector, okay. So if there is a person who is having a shop in the unorganized sector, or you can say if a person is working in the field, most of the time their women are also working in the same field, but they are not recognized as a worker or a laborer. They are not given any kind of incentive with that, or you can say any kind of wage. Okay, so basically here you can say that the women largely account for increasing the self-employment and the unpaid family work here. Okay, youth employment is of poor quality than employment for adults, with a higher proportion of unpaid family work among the young and adults, along with the stagnant and the declining wages and the earnings. So what is happening basically, if there is a, let's say there is a family business. Okay, person A has a family business and he has 3 kids. Okay, that is X, Y and Z. Now after A, okay, this business will be divided among these 3 people. So now there are 4 people who are working in the same business. So basically wages are getting reduced. Okay, second thing is that these persons are not amounting, or they are not considered as a wage, or you can say income based employment. Okay, because this particular business was set up by A. Okay, and in that case we can say that obviously there is one person who is in the that particular business, and all the profit is going to A. Now there are 3 kids, so total, there are 4 people who are working in that particular thing, so that can be divided into 4. So ultimately this is some kind of disguised unemployment. Okay, so these 3 people are not doing anything, but they are just sitting in the shop which has been set up by their father. Okay, so that kind of things, or that kind of trends which are prominent in recent time. Okay, and we have talked about this unemployment in the agriculture sector, or that is also a disguised unemployment, wherein women are taking part in the field, but they are not given any kind of wages. Okay, so that is the condition, that is the trend right now. Okay, it is not correct to think that every social or economic problem there is a need for government to do something. So when we are talking about this unemployment or these trends, okay, government can't do anything about this particular thing. Okay, government can give you a loan to start a particular business. Okay, these 3 people can go for 3 separate business to start. Okay, they can go for a loan by from some kind of MSME based program. But the thing is, government cannot come and tell you that you cannot work in this particular shop. Okay, so this kind of trends are totally based on the private sector, and government can't do anything. Other than that also, it is not solely responsibility of the government to go for hiring everyone, because government has limited jobs. Okay, and government cannot hire everyone. So this is the responsibility of the private sector. They are supposed to generate more jobs. Okay, and that will be working in their favor as well, because if there are more jobs, it means that there is more income. That means that there is more consumption and demand. Okay, so ultimately that will increase the GDP, so that will help the private sector. But the thing is, right now more and more people are actually relying on the government. In normal world, it is the commercial sector, those who engaged in the for profit activity, who need to do the hiring. Okay, as I told you, commercial sector or the private sector is supposed to do the hiring. Okay, after government, what government can do is, they are doing already, that is skill development programs government has. Okay, we have this Vishwakarma schemes, etc. Then we have this national education policy, wherein we have incorporated vocational training, etc. Okay, payment of employers contribution for the new employees under the employee provident fund organization. Then Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana, we have new tax regime, wherein you can say we are allowing deduction of the wages to employers, thus not favoring capital accumulation over the employment generation. So all these things which government can do, they are doing it. But the thing is, that is not sole responsibility of the government to generate the jobs. Private sector has to take initiative in that. Okay. Now youth employment and the underemployment increased between 2000 to 2019. Okay, declined during the pandemic years. However, unemployment among youth, especially those with the secondary level education or higher, has intensified in over time. Okay, so ultimately what they are saying here is that the unemployment was increasing in 2000 to 2019. Afterwards, we have seen that there is this employment opportunities which has increased. But the thing is, for those people who are graduated, or you can say those are educated people, for them these opportunities are less. Okay, after 2019, what happens? We have seen that there was this you can say gig economy. Okay, this gig economy has actually at that point of time, at the COVID's time, this particular gig economy has, you know, driven the system at that point of time. Okay, now gig economy, most of the people here are basically either illiterate, or you can say 10th or 12th graduate. But the thing is, there are many people who are having a degree, or you can say bachelor's or master's, and after that they are not willing to go for such jobs. Okay, so that is why we are saying that this unemployment problem is more in the people who are educated. Okay, the problem of unemployment in India has become increasingly concentrated among the youth, especially educated youth and women in urban area. So these are the class of people, educated youth and women in the urban areas. Promoting job creation, providing employment opportunities, providing employment equality, addressing labor market inequalities, strengthening skills and active labor market policies, bridging the knowledge deficit on the labor market patterns and youth employment. These are certain areas, or you can say these are certain key policy areas on which we can work. Now these can be your conclusion, or this can be a solution for certain things. Okay, so again I would read that: promoting job creation, improving employment quality. Okay, as I told you, we are having employment like gig economy, etc., but they are just struggling for survival. Okay, so the quality of the employment is very poor. Then addressing labor market inequalities. When we are talking about inequalities, we have inequalities, maybe it can be based on the gender, or you can say it can be based on the political dominance, etc. Then strengthening skills and active labor market policies, bridging the knowledge deficit on the labor market patterns and youth employment. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Now we can move forward with the next article. Okay, ICC farm data dashboard for customized solution. In this whole article, I will be talking a lot about farmers related schemes, etc. I will be saying that more this word integration, or you can say all the services at one point, because that is what is written in this particular article. Okay, so when we are talking about this ICC, that is integrated command and control system or center, integrated command and control center. So what you can say, agriculture minister has inaugurated this particular Krishi ICCC at Krishi Bhavan, New Delhi, a big screen dashboard of all digital innovations in the sector. So what is happening here is that they will actually integrate all the services, all the data on one platform, and then they will provide you certain solutions or certain outputs. Okay, so let's see what is the Krishi ICC, a tech based solution involving multiple IT applications and platforms, which is designed to help in making informed decisions. Okay, so what they are doing is that they are using all these IT related applications, platforms, they are using all the data, and then they are giving input to the farmers so that farmer can make a informed decision. Okay, now Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has come up with this idea. The ICCC use the state of the art technology, artificial intelligence, remote sensing, GIS to collect and process large number of granular data on temperature, rainfall, wind speeds, crop yield, production estimations, and they will give you it in the graph form, and based on this particular data. Okay, so here you can see that they are using artificial intelligence, they are using machine learning, they are using remote sensing, they are using GIS, whatever technology they can be that can be used in the agriculture welfare, they are doing it, and they are creating a database. On the basis of that database, they will give you input. Okay, now what do you get as the visual output? What will you get out of it? So you will get information about the crop yield. Okay, what kind of seeds will give you what kind of yield. Okay, then production, drought situation, cropping patterns, graphic, or you can say that can be region wise or year wise, and timeline and the drill down views. Okay, so ultimately these are certain information that you will get out of this particular, or you can say analysis of this data. Okay, then you can also see the relevant trends, outliners, and the key performance indicators, and receive insight, alerts, feedbacks on the agriculture schemes and programs, project initiatives. So whatever is going on in the field of agriculture, you will get insight with respect to that on this particular ICCC. Okay, now Krishi Decision Support System, DSS, to control micro level data, process it and present the macro picture. So they will use this Krishi decision support system. They will use the micro data and give you a macro picture. Okay. Then contact center and the help desk facility will be given there. Farmers beneficiaries can interact directly with the officials or the minister through video conferencing facilities. So this is what they will be doing. What is the objective? Obviously objective is that we are going for the comprehensive monitoring. Okay. And whatever we can get, whatever data we can get, we are compiling that data, and on the basis of that data we are giving you an output. That output will be helpful in the next cropping patterns, or you can say next season crops. Okay. Comprehensive monitoring of the farm sector by making available at one place geospatial information received from the multiple sources. What are these multiple sources? Here you can say remote sensing, plot level data received through the soil survey. So first we are using remote sensing, then soil survey, which are already there, then Indian Meteorological Department's data related to your climate, weather, etc. Then showing data from the digital crop survey, farmer and the farm related data from Krishi Mapper, an application for geofencing and the geotagging of land, market intelligence information in the unified portal for agriculture statistics, that is UPAG, and yield estimation data from the general crop estimation survey. So now these data which they are getting from various surveys. Okay. So remember that there are already some surveys, or you can say these activities like UPAG, GECS, all these things you have to remember for your prelims. Okay. There are high chances they will ask one or two statements. Okay. Then integrated visualization of the data will enable quick and efficient decision making and can be linked with the PM Kisan chatbot. Okay. So obviously if they are linking with all these things, then why not Kisan chatbot? Okay. Then can the command and the control center generate individual farmer specific advisories? Okay. So not now, but in the future they can do that. Okay. Because they have data of all these things. Then what they can do is they can integrate all these things with your artificial intelligence. They can make a database, and Kisan, a farmer can go for entering their phone number. Based on the phone number, all the land details will come, all the survey on that land which has been performed, that will come, soil car detail will come, all the cropping pattern will come. When all these informations are there with this particular dashboard, they can analyze and tell the farmer a personalized report, wherein they can tell the farmer to go for such crop and not for such crop as per their soil quality. Okay. So that can be done, not now but in the future that can be done. Okay. So summary is given here. Practical application, what will be the farmers advisory? As I told you, based on all this data they can give you an advisory on the cropping pattern, what kind of crop you have to go for, in which season you have to go for. Then drought action. Okay. And then crop diversification. So all these things, or farm data repository. Okay. So these things we have discussed in this particular you can say discussion. So these are given in the, you can say, concise form. I would want you to keep a note of just this. Okay. And the name or full form, etc., and ministry attached to it. Okay. So these things we have already discussed. So that is of importance for you. So farmers advisory we have discussed, personal advisory can be given, drought action depending on the data of remote sensing or the GIS surveys, etc., Indian Meteorological Department's data, they can give you idea about the droughts, etc. Then crop diversification. These, when we are going for the monocropping, or the farmer is going for the same crop again and again, what will happen is that one particular crop will require one particular type of nutrients from the soil. So if you are going for the again and again same crop on the same land in the same different cycles, what will happen is that that particular nutrient which crop require would be deficient in the soil. So after a particular time, 4 or 5 cycles, that particular crop will give you a lesser yield. Okay. So you should go for the crop diversification. What will happen once let's say there is a crop which is requiring more of let's say nitrogen. Okay. So in the first cycle you have gone for that crop, second cycle you have gone for a crop which is more likely to take phosphorus. Okay. Other than that, you can go for in one cycle you can go for rice, which will take a lot of water from the ground, and in the next cycle you go for, let's say, some kind of millet which is not taking as much water. So that is why crop diversification will help you make sure that your land will have the fertility. Okay. Then farm data repository, all the data which are related to that particular farm, that can be collected at one particular place, that will act as a repository. Okay. Now moving ahead, there was this particular current account deficit related article. A lot of data was given, but I'm not taking that article here because that is not necessary. Just know that what is current account deficit. Okay, so current account deficit is the difference between exports and import of the goods and services. Whatever things we are exporting minus whatever things we are importing in the terms of their value. Okay, so that would be your current account deficit. Now this particular thing is the difference. Okay, again I'm saying this is the difference. This can be import minus export, whatever is the larger. Okay, so if you are having export which are more than imports, so you will have a surplus. Then if you are going for the imports which are more than exports, then you will have deficit. And it is current account because we are considering the data of a year. Okay, so that is why it is current account. Okay, so moving further, next article is related to your this particular Baltimore port. Okay, so bridge has collapsed over there, and in this particular cargo, or you can say the shipment or the ship, most of the crew was Indian. Okay, there are nearly 22 people, and so that is not important. Obviously that was an unfortunate incident, but the thing is this port becomes important for you because they might ask you in the exam. Okay, so what happened was another problem. I will not go into it. If you have any interest, you can go and check that particular thing. But what is happening, that this particular port I will want you to locate on the map. Here this is United States. Okay, here we have a Maryland province. Okay, and port of Baltimore is on the eastern coast of USA, you can say. Okay, here the picture is given more clearly. So this is the eastern coast, Washington DC is here, and this is Maryland, and in Maryland here we have this Baltimore port. Okay, so here this accident has happened, so please remember this particular area. Okay, and this area is Potomac River. Okay, then we have this particular bay here and Smith Islands. Okay, so these are certain areas which you might keep in your mind, but just remember this Baltimore port which is on the eastern coast of USA. Okay, now moving further, second thing is related to your South China Sea dispute. India supports Philippines in upholding the sovereignty, because recently what happens that Philippines were going for some kind of survey in that particular area and Chinese vessels were trying to stop it, but anyway Philippines has conducted the survey and that happened, and China has made comments that they have attacked on the sovereignty, etc. Okay, now India has come for the rescue of Philippines. In the bilateral meeting, India has said that every country has the right to protect their own sovereignty. Okay, amid Manila's dispute with the Beijing over the South China Sea, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that India firmly supports the Philippines in upholding its national sovereignty and wants to explore new areas of cooperation, including defense and security. Okay, so that is one thing. Obviously, the enemy of enemy is a friend. Okay, enemy's enemy is a friend. So basically, Philippines and China for a long time having a dispute on certain regions. Okay, you must have heard about these regions here in the South China Sea. I would want you to remember all these things because there are high chances they will ask you. One is Paracel Island, then Scarborough Shoal, okay, then Spratly Islands. Okay, so these are certain islands which has been some kind of contention between the neighboring countries. These Spratly Islands are basically contested between the Philippines and China. Here you can say there is the line that is basically called cow's tongue. In foreign policy, you will see there is this tendency to give fancy names. Okay, we have this necklace, a diamond necklace, a string of pearls. String of pearls is the you can say strategy of China to cover India from the outside, or you can say the maritime boundary of India, and we have this diamond necklace to counter that. Okay, so such things are very fancy in international relations. Okay, as the world changes, it's essential that countries like India and the Philippines cooperate more closely to shape the emerging order. Every country has right to uphold and enforce its national sovereignty. On India's plan to expand the defense cooperation with the Philippines, they have asked the question about it. They have said you need to look at the cooperation on its own merit. It is not necessarily linked to a particular situation, but it's natural today that two countries whose trust and the comfort is growing so rapidly that we will look into the various new areas of the cooperations, and certainly defense and security is one of them. Okay, now maritime disputes are issues between the countries concerned and any third party is not in a position to interfere. That is what China has said regarding this particular comment by S. Jaishankar. Okay, this face off over South China Sea comes day after verbal exchange of words between China and India over Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, Arunachal Pradesh issue we have already discussed, why there was this issue, why PM has gone to Arunachal Pradesh recently for the inauguration of Sela Tunnel, and why China had some reservation with respect to that. So all these things we have discussed. I would want you to remember this particular map. Okay, Paracel Islands, Scarborough Shoal, Spratly Islands, and these particular areas are quite important. That is cow's tongue. Okay. Now we can move to the last part, that is for your own read. There is this article related, where did Homo sapiens go after Africa? New study has an answer. Okay, so basically there is a mention of Pebde cave in Iran. So I would want you to remember this name. Okay, they might ask you in PYQs, or you can, MCQs. Okay, so this particular thing you can remember. Otherwise also we will cover this particular article in our in focus or in news or in depth program, so keep a tap on that. Other than that, if you have interest in the anthropology and the history of Homo sapiens, you can read this particular article. Otherwise I would suggest that please remember this particular name. Okay, now last part, that is your practice question. Which group of the island in the South China Sea is claimed by multiple countries? Spratly Islands, Cocos Island, Christmas Island, La Reunion Islands. Okay, so you have to attempt this question, answer in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.